Okay, so just finished the 208. Been here moving the car. The fans never came back on when the engine is switched off. I was just wondering, it might be because of the map sensor. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go and watch that video. Anyway, moving into the next one, which is this 2010 Citroen C3, and this is the 1.6 HDI 90 brake horsepower. Now, this car is actually from a former colleague of work, and he rang me saying the car, so apparently the car cuts out randomly. The car cuts out, and when it cuts out, you turn it off, or you turn the ignition off because the car is already off, switch it back on, and it starts and it drives fine. Very random. Sometimes it drives okay for days, sometimes it just constantly happening. Apparently someone had a scan of this and they've been replacing parts. I don't know what's been replaced, and I actually think is the first thing I'm gonna do. Let's gonna open this door. I haven't done it yet. Literally, I just moved the car from where the Peugeot was, or from where the Peugeot is now, and I haven't. The car is driving fine. There's no lights, there's no engine lights, no nothing, but I don't have a clue where you open this thing. It's there on this side. Okay, right, let me put this thing here, and visual inspection, the power of visual inspection. Right, let me see if I can see what has been replaced. They said they've been replacing something. Can't see nothing replaced here. He's talked about some sensors. There's been replacing sensors here at the back. Because to replace these sensors is a little bit, because the rail is at the back, and to replace these sensors is a little bit of a pain in the ass. So maybe someone, I don't know if it was him that done that. It does have like a new fuel filter in there, by the looks of it. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm not gonna be here. It pulled this out, but I'm not gonna be here. Yeah, new fuel filter. Yeah, he said something about fuel filter replaced. It's been definitely replaced. It's a brand new one. And he must have done then something else. Right. I think the first thing we're going to do is scan the car and see if there's anything that points us into any direction. For him to replace pressure sensors, will this be a fuel? It's because they've seen some fuel faults, fuel pressure faults maybe. Right, let's gonna scan it and see what we have. Okay, so we are here ready to go. Let's gonna go to diagnosis, control unit, engine, and let's see. Yeah, okay, no worries. I don't have room at the moment for any more cars. Right, so turbo codes. Okay, so let's gonna analyze these codes. I haven't read them yet, but let's gonna see. Okay, so intermittent, fuel, high pressure, regulation, pressure less than as required. So low pressure, preheating, forget about that. Fuel pressure, regulation, pump regulation, electro valve opens below the setting. Okay, what we're gonna do with this? We're gonna investigate. We definitely need to get to that. To those sensors at the back, the fuel pump, etc. Try to see what, but the fuel pump is on the other side. Oh my god. I definitely need to get a little bit more the back of that engine, try to see visually inspecting. But we have obviously that code is just the fuel below the required. That can be 1,000 different things causing that. Well, probably I'm exaggerating with 1,000, but that can be many other things causing that. So I'm not worried about that. This one is the one I think might be what is causing the issue. Fuel, high pressure regulation pump, regulation electro valve opens below the setting. Let's go and investigate. Okay, so a few days later we are back into this. It's a really lovely and hot day today, about 28 degrees or so. Been yesterday and today doing a job for a friend on his Audi A7 3-liter V6. Really interesting job with a coolant leak. Would have made into an interesting video, but I was just here doing the work and having a few beers and chatting, so no video for that, I'm afraid. Anyway, job is done. But one thing I remembered about this car, that's what we're talking about, is that I remember the guy saying that the parts we replaced, they were in the boot. I didn't thought about it when I was recording the earlier. I thought about it, so I went into the boot to see exactly what was replaced, and I found this package and this inside. So what this is, guys, surely you know what this is the common rail high pressure fuel sensor. So this has been replaced to no fix, so we don't have to worry about this, because most likely this was not the problem. So what we're going to do now is going to dig a little bit more into this and see if we can find anything, and we'll go from there. Okay, and here he comes. To be honest with you, they are not far out from each other, so I think it's 1 and 2. No, sorry. 1 and 4, they are up here. 2 and 3, they are a little bit behind, but not that much. The car is now running for about a minute. I'm gonna let it to run until we accumulate a little bit in there. A bit of air coming out of this one, not sure why. Not sure where this air is coming to. So let it run until we have a significant amount of fuel in there, so we can make some fair judgments. There's no more air coming through now. But to be fair with you, nothing concerning. The engine is now running for about 2 minutes, and we're just getting a little bit of fuel in there now. So it's nothing really crazy, I would say, on this backleak test. If we had one of those spots just filling in really quick, then that would be an issue. But not the case really, to be honest with you. They actually look all very similar. Yeah, they are all very similar. Yeah, don't think this is an injector issue. Okay, and let the engine running for a little bit longer, and I don't think it is an injector issue. So the engine has run for about maybe 3 to 4 minutes, and this is how much I got. And it took a little while to actually start to get fuel through these clear pipes, and all I have is this black pipe that goes around there and comes back. But as you can see, overall pretty much all the same. A little bit more on 1 and 4, but nothing that I would be concerned about. So I don't think it's the injectors back leaking too much, allowing the pressure in the rail to drop. Don't think that's the issue. So let's gonna move into the next logic step, I would say, which is inspect a little bit. I did already inspect the wiring at the back, the loom, see if it was not touching anything rubbing. It doesn't seem like that's the issue, but maybe I'm going to remove that valve, the fuel pressure regulator, to see if there's anything in there that might lead us to any issues, perhaps, I don't know. Let's gonna dig into that a little bit in there. Okay, so the fuel pressure regulator valve seems clean, Obviously actuates okay because the car runs, so if it's failing is randomly, and it's going to be very difficult to pinpoint if this is the issue. It's running okay. What I was looking for was to see if I would see any metal swarfs, anything along those lines, but everything looks pretty clean. I pulled the filter out, just check the wiring underneath. Doesn't really seem to be nothing out of the ordinary, but we're going to put it all back on and dig into this a little bit more, but there's not a lot more I can do on a intermittent fault like this. It can be very tricky to find, so let's see how far we're going to get onto this today. Okay, so engine light is on because the airflow meter is disconnected. That shouldn't really matter. I just want to go for a quick test drive with the Maxi is plugged in. I'm going to look at some fuel pressure. We have loads of faults now because I had a lot of stuff disconnected. I know even if we see a drop on the fuel pressure, it's going to be difficult to pinpoint what is exactly causing the problem. But I just want to see if I can actually, I don't know, feel something or see something that might point us into any direction. So let me come here. Fuel pressure, so pressure, bank. No, leave that, deck. Okay, that should be enough fuel live data, and I'm gonna put the first two on a graphic, so that's what we're gonna look at. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, let's gonna go for a test drive around the block and see if there's anything that's gonna happen or that I'm gonna see that can help us. At the moment, guys, it's extremely difficult to pinpoint anything. I did a quite extreme wiggle test, and I could, with the engine running, obviously, if there was any wiring issue, I would hope that would hacked up while I was messing around with the wiring loom. Nothing happened. I unplugged the plugs on ECU, they are all clean. There's not much more I can do really at the moment, so let's gonna go for a test drive and see what happens. Okay guys, and literally it just happened. And it started straight away. Actually happened twice before I started recording now, and I was trying to capture these now to see if I can replicate the problem. I can, but it's not anything I do is random, so I'm gonna try to stop. Well, I'm gonna go to see if it does it again. So the car is in limp mode. It doesn't rev above 3000 RPMs because of that airflow meter, I believe. And yeah, you restarted and started straight away, and what it does is you can see when it cuts out, and then obviously it just coasts until it stops, but the engine just shuts down. And I'll show you live data in a second. Let me just put live data again, see if it happens again. So basically it cuts out on the live data. You can see the requested pressure, and you can also see the pressure that just drops pretty much straight away down. It happened most of the times. I think these 2 or 3 times it happened is more when I'm at low speed and I just put my foot down. Let me see if I can replicate this, see if I can make it to happen while we are recording. So second gear, 10 miles per hour, 1000 RPMs. I'm gonna put my foot down. There we go, and it happened. So it starts to go, and then all of a sudden it just shuts off. And I'm gonna show you that here. And this time it actually happened absolutely perfect. Let me freeze this. Okay, and this time actually happened perfectly for me to show you exactly what happened. Now, I'm not sure what's going on. I don't think it's going to be that either the sensor. They replaced the sensor, same problem, so it could be a bad sensor still. Doesn't mean anything. Oh man, let me turn here. So let me stop, and it happened again. There we go, and it cut out again. There we go. It's so random, and I was not even really accelerating. Right, let me show you here exactly what happened. So I don't know if you can see. I'm sure you can. You're going to focus? Yes, you are going to focus. So you see there. So when I put my foot down there, that was the requested pressure. Then the car got out and I took my foot off, and obviously that would just come down. But look, when the car requested the pressure, it couldn't give the pressure, and then the engine shut down and it just gradually came down. So that's what's happening. It just happened again. I was not even accelerating the car really hard. I was just turning around the corner there, as you have seen. And it started again. Maybe resume these live data. Let's see if we can make it happen again. It happened again. There we go. There we go again. So let me stop again here, somewhere on the shadow, so I can show you again exactly what happened. Same thing again, as you can see there. So let me pause. So I put my foot down, asking that pressure. The pressure couldn't meet and it came down. And then off we go down. Okay. So yeah, 100% a fuel pressure issue. But what the heck is causing this problem? It nearly looks like something like a wiring problem somewhere. Let's gonna have a look at wiring diagrams, see if we see anything that's common to something else, see if we can try to figure out what is going on with this. And it happened again. I was not recording now, my live data. Off. And it starts straight away. We have an anti-pollution. I came without the air muff, without the airflow sensor, so don't worry about that. Well, I'm not going to bother you anymore with this. I'm just going to try to dig into this until I find anything. If I do any tests or if I think I'm heading somewhere, I will obviously let you know. But for now, guys, I'm absolutely lost. Okay, and nearly a week later, we are back onto this. Now, you might be wondering why I'm doing all of this again. I'm only doing this because there's one bit that I usually do, and I don't know why. I should make that standard. I didn't do that when I was doing the backlit test on this car, which is accelerate the car while it's doing the test, because idling, obviously the car will request around 300 bars of pressure, but when you accelerate, that's when the car asks for more pressure on the rail. And sometimes it could be that you have an injector that doesn't really leak too bad when it is just idling, but as the pressure increases, it starts to leak more. So I've been here now running the engine for only about 2 minutes, and over the last 30 seconds or so, I rev the engine to about 4,000 RPMs. Literally just a bleep, just rev it up until about 4,000 or 5,000 RPMs, let it go, and I've done that about 3 times or 4. And I can't remember now how was the other test, but this test now is a little bit more conclusive, I would say. So the last 3 are pretty much spot on, all the same, 2.5, and as you can see the first one is 3. So this one, number 1 injector, which in this case is connected to that, so that injector is 100% leaking a little bit more. I'm not 100% convinced that this would be the cause for causing this problem, but I'm not 100% sure what the tolerances are, so it could be that the car is definitely not happy with that, and it could be that that allows the pressure to drop a tiny bit. And obviously this is just here idling. Obviously when you drive under load, the car might not be happy with it, so we have a problem there. In the meantime, I got something just to give it a go. Okay, and what I'm going to try is this valve, this regulator. I'm going to do it because I have the facility. As you can see, it's a used one, but I know it is a good used valve. I know the other one tested okay when we tested it with the transformer. Was no constants raised, but you never know. Sometimes as the frequency increases, as the PWM increases, it could be that the valve is failing. Obviously, if I did not have this facility, I wouldn't be spending money in buying a valve just to test. I'm gonna literally test it because I have the opportunity to do it. Failing this, so if the car does the same with this valve, then I'm start to be inclined for that injector. Yes, I totally agree that I should have tested that when I initially did the backleak testing, but at the time I don't know, I just forgot to do that. But yeah, under acceleration, as you've seen, and show you again, there is definitely a significant difference between number 1 and the rest. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Okay guys, the new valve, well, new used valve is in place, and I just came from a quick test drive. The engine was probably not fully warmed up, but he hasn't done it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the tool with me, connect the maxi seals. I'm going to connect that, actually, the airflow meter, and get rid of that light. That's for the airflow meter. So we're going to get rid of that, clear the fault, and then we're going to go, and I'm going to drive for as long as I need until I'm confident that it's not going to do it. But because it was already intermittently, it is a little bit difficult. I don't know yet. I might get an injector for this thing. I'll have to speak with the owner, just for the safe side. I might get that injector either refurbished or get another one, something along those lines, because I'm not very happy with it. But for now, let's just gonna carry on test driving this and see if that if the fault comes back. Okay, guys, and I think I have some rather good news. So let me just recap a couple things here. One is that looks like the number 1 injector. I will advise the guy to replace that injector 100%. If he wants to do it, I'm not going to record, guys, on how to replace an injector. That's a straightforward procedure, so I'm not going to go through that, but I will tell the guy I would recommend to change that if he wants to change it. If he doesn't want to change it, then it's up to him. But I've been now driving for, so 10 to 11, I've been driving now for 25 minutes, and it's driving perfect. It's not happening anymore. I've been driving this like if I just learned to drive. So what I've been doing, guys, is literally I've done a little bit of long high revs to see if the fuel system could maintain that pressure, which I'll show you a little bit on live data that it actually can. But majority of my driving has been like sort of accelerate really hard from low revs, like where we are now, 1500 or 2000. So I'm in second gear. What I've been doing is doing this and then just put my foot down to get a request of increase of pressure really quick, and then I take my foot off, let it to cruise and slow down, and then put my foot down again, and just making this sort of pressure build up into the system really quick. And there's two things I've noticed, and I'm gonna try to see if I'm gonna be able to. I didn't really show you up to now with the old valve. Ideally, to really prove the point, I would put the old valve back in, but I just put the air filter box, everything. As you can see, the engine light is off. I've cleared the faults and I've connected, I put everything back on, the filter housing, the air filter, I connected everything. The only thing left is that cover at the front where the wipers are, put the wipers back in, etc. So I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to try. There's a couple times where I've showed you the live data with the previous valve, and what I want you to look at is I'm going to try to put a well, actually what I'll do is when I show you the live data in a second, I'm just going to try to get a little bit of shadow so we can do this properly without glare. But when I show you, what I've noticed is that with this valve, the fuel system is more accurate, so the requested pressure against the actual pressure now is pretty much bang on. So let me just actually cross the road here and let me stop there on that shadow and I will show you. But guys, it's been driving perfect, there's nothing wrong with it at the moment. I can't make it up, literally, compared with how I was doing it before. I think the way I drove already, it would have happened by now. So I'm quite happy. So let me stop actually here, somewhere here. There we go. Okay, we'll stop here a little bit. And let me take the phone from here. There you go. Okay, so as I said, the car is driving absolutely perfect and no problems at all. And look, when you look at this live data, I just paused this a little bit before I start to record. So this pump, guys, is supposed to go up to about 1600 bars. And as you can see right there, I just put a third gear and I went for about 10 seconds, as you can see there, 40 to 48. For about 10 seconds, full throttle, and was requesting 1,592 bars, which is 1600 bars, which I believe is the maximum this pump supplies anyway. And as you can see, it maintained the pressure absolutely spot on. So the blue line is the measured pressure, the green line is what the ECU is asking for. But what I wanted to look at is, look how pretty much perfect the ECU is managing to control the fuel pressure. It's pretty much bang on. And I want to put a picture here, somewhere here, and I'm going to highlight the points where I think the pump was not able, the system was not able to follow the requested pressure. So as you can see, I think there is a difference there, and there is a difference that has a meaning. So at the moment, guys, I'm really happy. I'm just going to resume this again. So now obviously it's just, even here, guys, idling is absolutely spot on. There's literally is absolutely perfect. So at the moment, guys, I'm happy with the result. I'm gonna deem this as fixed for now, and I'm gonna blame that valve. Now, this has been a little bit of a shot in the dark, I'm not gonna lie, but the way I thought about this is the following. They replaced the sensor. I don't know if the sensor they put in there is a genuine or aftermarket, I'm not sure. The one they removed, it was definitely a genuine one. All the part numbers are here on the side, here on this side. If we're going to be able to focus this. There we go. Okay, so this was definitely a genuine valve. I'm not sure the one in there now, but the fact that they said they replaced the sensor, the fact that they said they replaced the sensor and the problem was exactly the same, to me rules out the sensor. If they would say now he does something slightly different, then maybe. But because it was doing exactly the same, we moved into the next step. Now the injectors, yes, number one, and I'm going to repeat myself again, I will advise to replace that injector. However, I don't think that is causing really any problems just yet. Now, if you really want to be anal about this, you go online, you're going to find all the information, how much exactly these injectors should backleak during, let's say, 30 seconds or 40 seconds, whatever. It will tell you about, you'll find this information about how much is allowed to the injector to backleak, and anything more than that means the injector is already leaking too much. For me, by experience, because I've done this so many times, by experience, I know for a fact that I don't see any concerns with these injectors just yet. The only concern already is that number one, that is leaking a tiny bit more than the other ones. So I will advise that to be sorted, because obviously that's going to put more stress on the fuel system to keep up the pressure, because the injector is leaking a little bit more than what it should. But as I was saying, the way I thought about this, so this sensor, rule out, because problem is the same. Injectors, I don't really see a problem too much. So the only two things left, guys, is either we have a bad pump or we have a bad valve. Now the valve, as you've seen, I took it off, tested on the bench, tested okay. So the only last thing really would be the pump. Now some of you might going to say, well, you could have air getting to the system. Because there's no fuel pump on the tank on this car, it's just a suction system. And I would say to that, yes, you are absolutely correct. But the fact that when the car shuts down, literally, you just turn the key off, back on, and start straight away. If air was getting to the system, the car would struggle to start, because the air on the system was still there. And I've never seen that. Just turning off, when it shuts down, when it was shutting down, you just had to literally turn the ignition off, turn it back on, and it would fire right up. So to me, that rules out any air getting into the system. So the last two things would be the pump or the valve, the fuel pressure regulator. The fuel pump, these fuel pumps, to be fair with you, they are not known to fail. They can fail like everything. Some pumps they are prone to, they are well documented that they fail. BMW on the 2-liter engines is a known one, for example. But these pumps, not really. When I removed the valve, everything was clean. I put a cotton bud inside where the valve goes, and I rubbed it around, pull it out to see if there's any metal swarfs in there. Absolutely clean. So I don't think the pump is a problem. But before we go to the big one, which was obviously the pump, I just thought, let me try this. Because I had a spare, well, I didn't have a spare, but someone lent me a spare. Because I had that possibility, I just thought, let me try that. And obviously, there we go. That's the issue. Now you might gonna think, well, if you didn't have one, how you would do? Would you buy one? I would have to think about it. I would have to speak with the owner, because I wouldn't want to spend money when the valve on its own was not really showing me any problems. Testing it on a bench. Obviously, you could put something on the bench, some rig that could test that valve heavily, pulsing it heavily. I don't have that sort of stuff, so I can only test by apply 12 volts, activate the valve a few times, and it activated okay. But obviously, under pressure on the fuel system, and perhaps under an increase of pulse timing, so that's a pulse with modulated valve. Yeah, so it's a modulated valve. So as faster as the ECU pulses that valve, could be that the valve starts to fail. So, but guys, it is what it is. At the moment, I would say it's fixed. I'm happy with this, and we're gonna move into the next one, really, because there's no point. So I'm gonna drive now from here. I'm about 5 minutes away from home, if that. So I'm gonna drive back home, and unless something happens, guys, which I'm not really thinking he will. And we're gonna wrap up this here. So guys, with no further ado, I hope you enjoyed the video. Was a little bit of lucky shot, I admit that. But yeah guys, it's fixed. And with no further ado guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe you learned something, who knows. If you do still have any questions, any comments guys, you know exactly how it works, just put them below. And like always, thanks for watching.